Before I start my talk, I do want to take an opportunity to thank the MCs. Great job. Kyle and Sean. Thank you. However, after expressly forbidding us from using notes, they both showed up with notes. So, come on, guys.
If you could see the timestamp of Chris's bio, you would understand that I didn't have time to memorize it.
You know what? Fair enough. Anyway, thank you. Okay, let's talk about beer. 5 years ago, a friend said to me, there's this great pub in Toronto called Bar Volo, and they're putting on a beer tasting event called Cask Days. I think you'd like it. You should check it out. And I said, sounds like fun. Let's do it. That's how I ended up at my first beer festival, Cask Days 2008, and it was awesome. I had a ton of fun. I drank little tiny samples of a lot of really great beers and met some really interesting people, and I've got a lot of really good memories of that day. But there's one memory in particular that really sticks with me today. A brewery called Black Oak did a version of their nut brown ale made with sweet potatoes. And that might sound kind of weird, but it was really delicious. That beer challenged my idea of what beer is. It made me think about something that I had taken for granted for years. And I found that the more I thought about what I was drinking, the more I enjoyed it. So I got inspired, I started to explore. And I found a lot of really great beer here in Ontario. We've got good pubs, good breweries, good beer, and good beer festivals. And I really started to get into this. Like many people new to the world of beer, I first gravitated towards India Pale Ales. They really showcase the hop. But as I tried more and more of these, I got some really interesting different flavors out of those beers. It's really amazing what can come out of this little flower. Another style that I really got into early is the Imperial Stout. This is a thick, creamy, intense style of beer, and it's a little more like espresso than what I would have thought of as beer. And those are just two styles. I mean, there are so many different styles of beer. We've got, I had this whole list of them. There are a whole bunch. Double, triple, quadruple, sours, vices, saisons, and there were more. But an interesting thing about beer is that when you're making beer, you can also put a lot of really interesting things into beer that don't always go in there. I've had beer made with coffee, with chocolate, all kinds of fruit, vegetables, mushrooms, something called bog myrtle. Some really interesting flavor combinations there. So today, I've gone to a number of beer festivals. I've tried beer from dozens of countries. I run a beer club that's been meeting for the last year and a half. And you'd think by now I know what beer is, but I don't. You'd be wrong. Beer still manages to surprise me, and that's one of my favorite things about it. Beer stays interesting because I never know what that next one might teach me. There's a wonderful brewery of lambics called Cantillon, very famous brewery, and every year they release a very small quantity of a very special beer for something called Zwanza Day. It's a worldwide event. This year's Zwanza Day had 46 pubs participating worldwide. 3 of those were in Ontario. We had the GDCL Brew Pub in Montreal, we had the Alibi Room in Vancouver, and we had in Toronto, the place where it all started for me, Bar Volo. Volo sold something like 150 tickets for the event. It sold out in 3 minutes. I was lucky enough to get a ticket, and it was a really, really terrific time. I've been wanting to try Cantillon Lambic for years, and it was just a great day. In addition to that, to the Cantillon stuff, Volo brought in a bunch of other sour beers. So the whole day was about sour and funky beers, and like some pubs put out bowls of peanuts, Volo put out bowls of antacid tablets. Just like my first beer festival, I have some really great memories from that day. But again, one stands out. I tried a beer from Cantillon that came out of the bottle totally still, without any carbonation at all. And once again, I had to reconsider what beer is. So, if the world of beer is so diverse, why do so many people still drink boring old pale lagers? Well, there are a lot of reasons, and frankly, some people just like them, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, and I'm the last person to tell you not to drink something that you enjoy. But for many people, I think the reason they drink pale lagers is because they haven't had that beer festival moment. They haven't had their idea of what beer is challenged. So today, I want to issue a very small challenge to the beer drinkers in the audience. The next time you're at the beer store or the LCBO, or out for dinner with your family, or enjoying a pint after work, try something different, something you've never had before. You might like it. And even if you don't, you might get lucky. That one drink might change the way you think about beer forever. Cheers. Thanks, everybody.